Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrashajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrashajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Guru Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Okay, so Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sa eṣaḥ prakṛtiṁ sūkṣmāṁ. Daivīṁ guṇamayīm vibhuḥ. Yadṛcchayaivopagatām. Abhyapadyata līlayā. Sa eṣaḥ prakṛtiṁ sūkṣmāṁ. Daivīṁ guṇamayīm vibhuḥ. Yadṛcchayaivopagatām. Abhyapadyata līlayā. Please chant. Sa eṣaḥ prakṛtiṁ sūkṣmāṁ. Daivīṁ guṇamayīm vibhuḥ. Yadṛcchayaivopagatām. Sa eṣaḥ prakṛtiṁ sūkṣmāṁ. Daivīṁ guṇamayīm vibhuḥ. Yadṛcchayaivopagatām. abhyapadyata līlayā. Sa eṣaḥ prakṛtiṁ sūkṣmāṁ. Daivīṁ guṇamayīm vibhuḥ. Yadṛcchayaivopagatām. Abhyapadyata līlayā. Sa eṣaḥ prakṛtiṁ sūkṣmāṁ. Ladies? Sa eṣaḥ prakṛtiṁ sūkṣmāṁ. Daivīm guṇamayīm vibhuḥ. Yadṛcchayaivopagatām. Abhyapadyata līlayā. Sa eṣaḥ, that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prakṛtim, material energy. Sūkṣmāṁ, subtle. Daivīm, related to Viṣṇu. Guṇamayīm, invested with the three modes of material nature. Vibhuḥ, the greatest of the great. Yadṛcchayā, of his own will. Eva, quite. Upagatām, obtained. Abhyapadyata, he accepted. Līlayā, as his pastime. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. As his pastime, that Supreme Personality of Godhead, the greatest of the great, accepted the subtle material energy which is invested with the three material modes of nature and which is related with Viṣṇu. Purport. Would you like to repeat it? I guess we do that. As his pastime, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the greatest of the great, accepted the subtle material energy, which is invested with the three material modes of nature, and which is related with Viṣṇu. In this verse, the word guṇamayīm is very significant. Daivīm means the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and guṇamayīm means invested with the three modes of material nature. When the material energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, this guṇamayīm energy acts as a manifestation of the energies of the three modes. It acts as a covering. The energy emanating from the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifests in two ways: as an emanation from the Supreme Lord, and as a covering of the Lord's face. In Bhagavad-gītā it is said that because the whole world is illusioned by the three modes of material nature, the common conditioned soul, being covered by such an energy, cannot see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The example of a cloud is very nicely given. All of a sudden, there may appear a big cloud in the sky. This cloud is perceived in two ways. To the sun, the cloud is a creation of its energy, but to the ordinary common man in the conditioned state, it is a covering to the eyes. Because of the cloud, the sun cannot be seen. It is not that the sun is actually covered by the cloud, only the vision of the ordinary being is covered. Similarly, although Maya cannot cover the Supreme Lord, who is beyond Maya, the material energy covers the ordinary living entities. Those conditioned souls who are covered are individual living entities, and he from whose energy Maya is created is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In another place in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto, 7th chapter, it is stated that Vyasadeva, by his spiritual vision, saw the Supreme Lord and the material energy standing behind him. This indicates that material energy cannot cover the Lord, just as a darkness cannot cover the sun. Darkness can cover a jurisdiction, which is very insignificant in comparison to that of the sun. Darkness can cover a small cave, but not the open sky. Similarly, the covering capacity of the material energy is limited, and it cannot act on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is therefore called vibhuḥ. As the appearance of a cloud is accepted by the sun, so the appearance of the material energy at a certain interval is accepted by the Lord. Although his material energy is utilized to create the material world, this does not mean that he is covered by that energy. Those who are covered by the material energy are called conditioned souls. The Lord accepts the material energy for his material pastimes in creation, maintenance, and dissolution, but the conditioned soul is covered. He cannot understand that beyond the material energy, there is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all causes, just as a less intelligent person cannot understand that beyond the covering of the clouds, there is bright sunshine. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I want to thank the Prabhupada disciples who sustained me and maintained me for decades and kept me here in devotional service, including my husband and all the Vaishnavas, all the devotees present. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to give the class. I don't think this is going to happen very often, so I'm just too nervous. But I prepared. So I was thinking how it's been very cloudy lately, and we all noticed that, right? We're all like, oh, why is it like this? You know, and it used to be sunny, and now it's like this for months and months sometimes, or weeks. And then yesterday, does everyone remember when the sun came out yesterday? Does anyone remember what time it was? What time? Yeah, it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and like, it was such a difference because you've been fasting from sunshine for that long, and then all of a sudden you start to see the world again, and in a different way. So this is imposed upon us by the modes of nature. It isn't something that is an accident, you know, that Krishna is just playing with the weather today. But it's something for our purification so that we can understand. When we chant the Gayatri mantra, the first mantra is about the sun and how it pervades and gives sustenance and strength and energy and light to the entire cosmic creation. And it's just fascinating to even meditate on how sunlight is going so far into so many regions of space, like all over the place. And so when we think about that, and we think how Krishna has a Brahman effulgence, which is millions of times greater than that, you know, so that just gives us, the Gayatri mantra gives us a little tiny hint of how great Krishna's energies are. And so our not being able to see him, that really tells us a lot about how tiny we are. You know, we're really itsy bitsy and insignificant in the fact that we took our birth here, you know. In the spiritual world, we're not so insignificant, and we are, but we're not covered by all this. And our manifestation of who we are is full and complete. But in this world, we're covered by the modes of nature. And so this verse is explaining about that. It's saying that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the greatest of the great, accepted the subtle material energy. And he invested it with the three modes of material nature, which is related to Viṣṇu. So he expands himself as Viṣṇu in order to be our father in the material world. Like if Krishna just stayed in the spiritual world and sent us here, we wouldn't have a connection with him so much. So as Viṣṇu, he's the maintainer. He expands into our hearts. He's a Paramatma. He gives us our sustenance and our maintenance. He's also called Pumsa. That's in the Sri Upanishad. So he's called Pusan. Pusan means the ultimate maintainer. By his Viṣṇu expansion, he controls, maintains, and is manifesting a complete cosmic material creation for us so that we can be separated from him. So that's really kind because, you know, we sometimes think, oh, my suffering and the material world is so miserable and why is it so cloudy all day? But we have to always see that every square inch of this situation that we're in is his manifestation for our maintenance and sustenance so that we can someday realize him in his more, you know, personal form. And that's, so this verse that we just read, it talks about him as his personal form, that he manifests the creation, and it also talks about him in his Viṣṇu form. There's a distinction. It's not like Krishna is just like giving us the material world. He's giving us the material world through his agencies. So the modes of material nature are interesting. And there's a whole chapter on the modes of material nature in the Bhagavad-gītā and also in the Bhagavad-gītā in the 11th canto. And it's a lot that the scriptures dedicate an entire chapter to both of those. So he says, prakṛtiṁ kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankar abhyapadyata kartaham iti manyate. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of these modes of nature, thinks himself doing everything when actually the modes are carrying it out, you know. So we know that, like, we try to do a project for Krishna, or maybe we're just trying to take care of our family, and we have this mode of maintenance and goodness, and yes, I'm going to do this nicely, and then somehow the passion comes in to try to do it perfectly and, you know, control it. And then the ignorance comes in, the lamentation, oh, it didn't come out the way I thought. And, you know, so bewildered spirit soul under the influence of the modes of nature thinks himself the doer. So that's the catch. And so that's part of our purification, is to understand that. But Arjuna, in the end of the 14th chapter of Bhagavad-gītā, he asked 3 questions of Krishna about how to deal with this. Because then there's another verse, daivīṁ guṇamayīm mama māyā yadṛcchayā mama eva ye prapadyante māyam etam tarantite. This divine nature, and he calls it divine. He calls this manifestation of the material nature divine, which is interesting. This divine nature, consisting of the 3 modes of material nature, is certainly difficult to cross beyond. It's, you know, we're struggling, you know, just to try to do some simple thing for the deities, or try to do some simple thing for our family, or for the temple. We struggle, you know. But he says it's difficult to cross beyond, but one who surrenders unto me and recognizes me and engages in devotional service in sincerity can easily cross beyond it. So, and so in the Bhagavad-gītā, I have too many books here. Arjuna asked this question. My dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these 3 modes? What is his behavior? How does he transcend the modes of nature? And so Krishna replies to Arjuna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear. I remember when I first read that, I was like, hating illumination? And you know, it's such a conundrum, you know. But it's very important to think about this, because, and then hating attachment and hating delusion. Delusion, I was thinking, and I did some investigation on that. Delusion means not knowing that you're the soul, that thinking you're the body, being deluded by the concept, by the misconception that you're some kind of material personality, that, you know, I'm a this, I'm a that, the designations. So that's delusion. So we're attached to all that about ourselves and the bodily conception of life. So he says, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear. So we actually, that's like nostalgia, right? Oh, I remember when I was doing this for Krishna, and oh, I wish I could do that again, or I was only a good devotee when I used to do this, and it's a nostalgia, We hear that among really senior devotees. They talk a lot about what they did for Prabhupada and their memories, which is all pure Leela pastimes, but they feel lamentation because there's separation from Prabhupada. So, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. So this purport is stellar. It's so well written. So I just want to read something of this purport. Prabhupada, sometimes I think his purports are like glistening, perfect gems, Arjuna submitted 3 different questions, and the Lord answers them one after another. In these verses, Krishna first indicates that a person transcendently situated has no envy and does not hanker for anything. When a living entity stays in this material world, embodied by the material body, it is to be understood that he is under the control of one of the 3 modes of the nature. When he is actually out of the body, then he is out of the clutches of the material modes of nature. But as long as not in the material body, he should be neutral. So that's really good for when you go and try to do book distribution. Book distribution should be neutral. He should engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord so that his identity with the material body will automatically be forgotten. When one is conscious of the material body, he acts only for sense gratification. But when one transfers the consciousness to Krishna, sense gratification automatically stops. One does not need this material body. It's hard to imagine, but one does not need this material body. He does not need to accept the dictations of the material body. The qualities of the material modes in the body will act, but as spirit soul, the self is aloof from such activities. How does he become aloof? He does not desire to enjoy the body, nor does he desire to get out of it. So that's always really hard for us. When things are bad and we're depressed or we're lamenting about something, we're thinking how to get out of this, how to get liberated from this. I leave it all behind, And then, but then when we're not doing that, we're like, seeking a pleasure. And what's my favorite thing that I want to do now? So he does not desire to enjoy the body, nor does he desire to get out of it. So, and as long as we keep gravitating between one thing and the other and not being neutral, then our connection and our seeing Krishna is not possible. The clouds are there, the clouds of the modes of material nature. Krishna's face is specifically covered by the clouds of this duality, desire to enjoy and desire to get out of it. So we want Krishna, right? That's why we're here. We want to be connected to Krishna. We want to see his lotus face. We want to have a darshan of Krishna in our hearts and our minds and our consciousness. So we have to somehow, I'm talking to myself here, stop this tendency to seek out enjoyment and also the tendency to just try to, ditch it and forget about everything and be in lamentation mode. So thus transcendently situated, the devotee becomes automatically free. He need not try to become free from the influence of the modes of material nature. He doesn't have to try. If we don't have to try separately to get out of the modes if we're understanding this. And then there's a really important thing here is that when the modes visit us, and they do, that we don't hate them, that we don't become attached to it either. That we don't hate ourselves for forgetting, like now we're having senior moments. So The senior moment is this mode of nature coming and attacking. And so whatever it is you're trying to remember, if you're a senior, this is what I couldn't remember a word that I want to remember yesterday. Why not use that senior moment to think of Krishna and just say, okay, I didn't need that anyway. I didn't need to remember all that stuff anyway. I just needed to remember Krishna. And then you could use the senior moment in Krishna's service. So, the next question concerns the dealings of a transcendently situated person. The materially situated person is affected by so-called honor and dishonor offered to the body, but the transcendently situated person is not affected by such false honor and dishonor. He performs his duty in Krishna consciousness and does not mind whether a man honors or dishonors him. He accepts things that are favorable for his duty in Krishna consciousness, otherwise he has no necessity of anything material, either a stone or gold. He takes everyone as his dear friend who helps him in his execution of Krishna consciousness, and he does not hate his so-called enemy. He is equally disposed and sees everything on an equal level because he knows perfectly well that he has nothing to do with material existence. Social and political issues do not affect him because he knows the situation of temporary upheavals and disturbances like this political election we're coming. We can get all involved in it, or we can understand the situation of temporary upheavals and disturbances. They come and they go, and they come and they go. He does not attempt anything for his own sake. He can attempt anything for Krishna, but for his personal self, he does not attempt anything. By such behavior, one becomes actually transcendently situated. So, getting close to the end. So, in Sri Ishopanishad, there's this example of the face of the Lord being covered. Starts here. The prayer, Ishopanishad Mantra 15, it's a beautiful prayer, very strong realization on the part of the narrator or whoever, I don't know who wrote Sri Ishopanishad, but he says, "O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee." And why should Krishna do that? But he explains, "O my Lord, O primeval philosopher, maintainer of the universe, O regulating principle, destination of pure devotees, well-wisher of the progenitors of mankind, please remove the effulgence of your transcendental rays so that I can see your form of bliss. You are the eternal Supreme Personality of Godhead, like unto the sun as I am." So, as I am, meaning that I am also part of Krishna. "Let this temporary body be burnt unto ashes, and let the air of life be merged with the totality of air. Now, O my Lord, please remember all my sacrifices, and because you are the ultimate beneficiary, please remember all that I have done for you." So, Sri Ishopanishad is reminding us that we may not see Krishna now, we may feel covered. Maybe some of you are seeing Krishna regularly. I'm not. But when we do sacrifice and we give our heart, and when we chant, we get darshan. When we chant attentively, that's so different from when we're not chanting attentively. It's so different. And so that makes a huge difference in our lives if we can maintain on a daily basis chanting the Hare Krishna mantra in even just if we're just chanting, but chanting attentively, makes a huge difference in our lives. And that's the avenue to seeing Krishna. That alone, by doing that, it's guaranteed that we'll see Krishna. And Prabhupada said that chanting Hare Krishna makes one fearless. And I remember Vijay likes to say this. The entire Krishna consciousness movement can be summed up, Prabhupada said this, in 5 words: Krishna is the supreme controller. So we can understand that. And, I guess anything else I had to say is not really going to be that relevant. So does anyone have any questions or comments? Yes?
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you for the nice class.
Thank you.
You know, in this current verse also, it said that Daivi guna. The word Daivi is used to refer gunas.
Yeah.
And even in Bhagavad-gītā shloka also that's referred as Daivi prakriti. So sometimes it is kind of confusing, like why is Krishna referring three modes of nature, which is material, as Daivi, right? So, you know, this word, prakriti or guna, actually, or especially guna, actually it has two meanings. The word guna basically means goodness, passion, and ignorance as a substance, like a material. Means that is what matter is made up of. Especially when you're talking about creation, at that time when we use the word guna, it is not referring to quality. It is referring to actual substance with which the creation is made up of. But in other occasions, when you say guna, it refers to a quality. I mean, my mind is in mode of goodness, it's a quality. So it could refer to both, either a quality or a substance. So when this word Daivi is used, he is referring to this substance, like even if you see it's a creation, because it's a Lord's energy, it is Daivi. But at the same time, when he's discussing about demonic and divine natures, where how people are acting in a demonic way under the influence of ignorance, see, that is demonic. I mean, we're not going to call that as divine. You see that thing? So that is why this word Daivi is used when referring to energy of Lord, but when understanding the activities conducted under the mode of ignorance, that is not Daivi, that is demonic.
Yeah.
I just want to kind of bring out this point.
Yeah, it seems like Daivi is kind of an intersection between the divine and the material.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Thank you.
Mataji, when you say when we get darshan, how does that be like? Could you?
Darshan of Krishna?
Yeah.
I mean, I have been doing devotional service for a number of years, so I can say that when you do what you're supposed to under authority of the disciplic succession and the authorities of the temple and your spiritual master, and you actually make a sacrifice that's substantial, Krishna is going to show up in some way or other. You might not see him all the details of his body and face, but you're definitely going to get some feeling and presence and relief from the modes of nature. And you might go and see Rukmini Dwarkadish and see them so differently than you ever saw them before. You know, it might happen. Krishna is very merciful, and he is giving us windows into the spiritual world. We just have to want it, you know. And I think it's more about us wanting it more than it is him holding it back, you know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai.